Ta'anis, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Zayin. Ovru eilu v'lo nanu. If these further fasts had passed and Klal Yisrael was still not answered, there was no rain, then mamatin b'masa umatan. Commerce is reduced, in fact not done at all. Similarly, bebinyan, construction, ubinatir, and planting. Explains it Tiferes Yisrael. What does it mean when it says commerce, masa v'matan, business? It means purchasing things for simchas, tzorchei chuppah, things necessary for marriages. Those were not purchased. Similarly, binyan, construction. It says about Tanura, this means construction for simcha. For example, chasna halls. Or planting trees for recreational purposes, for tiyulim. These things were stopped. Also, what was stopped? Be'erusin ubinasuin. Erusin, betrothal, nasuin, actual marriages. Erusin, normally the ring on the finger, harayat mekudeshesli, being married. However, nasuin was setting up a home together, and in the olden days, Erusin and nasuin were split into two time periods. Both those events stopped. The Tiferes Yisrael does mention, Ubeloi kiem piria v'rivyo shari. However, someone who did not yet have children, they were permitted to get married. And what also stopped was she'ilas sholom bein odom l'chaveroi, greeting one person, greeting the other. Kivnei odom, people like hanuzufim lamokim, those that had been rebuked by Hashem. This word nuzufin, Tosfos Yontov explains, we find with Yosef, Vayiga by Oviv. Yaakov rebuked his son Yosef about the dreams, and the Targum translates the word Vayigar, he rebuked Nazaf. So this word means he rebuked. People are like being rebuked by Hashem, and that's why there's no rain. The Mishnah continues, Hayechidim, the individuals, we've had this word before, the Talmidei Chachomim, Choizrim umisanim, would go back and they would continue to fast. Ad sheyetze Nisan, until Nisan had passed. Says in Tiferes Yisrael, what does it mean by Nisan? It doesn't mean the month of Nisan, it means the spring period, shel tukufah. The spring period normally would be commencing nowadays around the beginning of April, towards the beginning of April. So a month later, if there was still no rain, Yotza Nisan, if that time period had passed, V'lo yodu geshomim, there are different gesos in the Mishnah here, Yotza Nisan v'lo yodu geshomim, and no rain had yet fallen, and then it rains, Siman Kalola, this would be a bad sign. The alternative gear is Yotza Nisan, if Nisan passes and then Yodu Geshomim, and then it begins to rain, it hadn't yet rained prior to then, means the same thing. If it starts to rain only after Nisan, after the spring, the first month of spring, Siman Kalola, sadly, this is a bad sign, it's a Kalola. How do we see this? How do we see that there's a time period during which, if it rains, that's not good? She'ne'ema, the Pasuk says in Shmuel, where Shmuel is rebuking, admonishing the people for requesting a king. And the Pasuk says, Halo katzir chitim hayom. Isn't today the time period already for the harvesting of the wheat? And Shmuel goes on to say, I will call on rain, and it should rain at this period, it's not good. And this was a rebuke to the people. So from here we see that once it goes beyond a certain period of time, rainfall is then not good, and therefore after this period we no longer request rain. That concludes the Mishnah.